The invisible fence the other dogs have had since we moved in here, they figured it out. He's figuring it out quickly. He's on like day 3. They learn fast, and then the people come back and they turn up the strength of his collar so it actually shocks him a little bit more, deters him from running away. It still perplexes me that someone got rid of him because he's a great dog. Other than a little curiosity going out on the road, maybe going and visiting Jeff or looking around the shed, he's not left. I find it hard to believe that he would have ran away from home, so I think someone probably just dumped him. It's been probably a week since I've checked in with you. We got an inch of rain, actually 1.5 inches of rain. Everything we've planted so far looks great. It's coming out of the ground. Everything that hasn't been planted is just too wet to plant still. It's getting close. This is a really wet spot, so that doesn't count. The unfortunate news is that we have 2 to 3 inches of rain in the forecast over the next 7 to 10 days. It's the first week of May, which is concerning to know there's that much rain, because unless we miss some rains or it's really hot, that amount of rain will put us out till mid-May easily. And that's not even accounting for the possibility of more rain. To be honest with you, I've got no idea where this video is going. It's going to be an update, or I don't know, we may decide to push the envelope on some of this stuff with mid-May approaching and looming in our heads. Soybeans especially, we're losing a couple bushel a week of top-end yield potential. That's not to say we can't raise 90 to 100 bushel beans if everything goes right. However, the odds become stacked against us as we lose growing season for our soybeans. Corn's kind of just a crapshoot. It could still make 300 bushel depending on how the growing season goes, but you still want to get it in the ground. We missed a big rain overnight, just got a little light sprinkling. That's why everything is damp. It'll be dry in another hour. We put up some bird feeders a couple weeks ago. Business was slow at first, and now maybe the warmth has helped. There's a ton of birds in the yard, which is nice to see. That one was my grandma's or grandpa's from 15 to 20 years ago. We thought it was bad luck to take that down. We left it even though it's not really doing anything. Okay, I'm going to work. You guys be nice to each other today. Here's that first field of corn we planted. Pioneer 1742 Power Core Enlist corn. Covered the hybrid, the trait a lot in the video. Shouldn't be surprised that we got good emergence out here. This farm drains well naturally. Seedbed was perfect when we planted it. Now it's leafed out. It's almost approaching that V2 stage. Good even emergence, which isn't surprising to me. I like the way this looks. I wish we had more fields that were this dry at that time, because we could have had a lot of corn this stage already. It's going to be ironic from the corn standpoint, logistically, for us and for retailers, because we're going to have corn not even planted and other corn ready to be side dressed and sprayed with a post-emerge. There goes a money delivery truck. That's interesting. I don't know why. They must be going to the neighbor's house or something. Not stopping here. In hindsight, I did a poor job operating the corn planter. This seed was fairly light. I should have backed the vacuums down a little bit, because you can see there's spots where I got some doubles. This is planted plenty thick. There's a lot of flex. I'm not concerned about the yield implications. I just wish the stand was a little more photo-esque. And in spots like right there in that row, it looks fine. That's not a hybrid issue. That's just me not doing a good job staying on top of the vacuum settings on the planter. Otherwise, we targeted 36,000 out here. I'd say we've got every bit of 34.5, 35,000 out of the ground. And the rest, I think, are just straggling behind. Beautiful stand. This makes it look like we know what we're doing, but in fact, we don't. We're just lucky sometimes. I'm sure you all recall the March planted soybeans, 300 acres, that I wasn't sure about to begin with, and then I was concerned about for almost the entire month of April, because they were slow coming out of the ground. They just didn't seem to be doing that well. Closed my eyes, didn't look at them for another week, and that last week, April, with the heat, they almost all came out. We've got about as nice of a stand of beans as you could hope for. We plant them pretty thick. Most of them are up, and I think the ones that aren't up aren't going to be an issue, and there's also some still coming out of the ground slowly. Soybeans are ornery little creatures. You give them tough conditions, they kind of act like they're not going to make it, and the next thing you know, you wish you had more planted. Because this is a really good looking stand of soybeans, and I'm glad I don't have to worry about planting this farm. I'm not going to do a stand count out here. We targeted 160. I bet we got every bit of 130, maybe 140 in spots. One thing with soybeans, if you've got 80 to 100,000 plants per acre, evenly spaced, you've probably got a good enough stand to not have to worry about replanting. And I've not even put a thought into replanting this, although there are some spots where we've got some kind of underlying ponding, drainage, compaction, I don't know. I mean, we might come in here with the smaller planter and split some beans in when it dries up. That is really a non-issue in a 200-acre field, actually 220 acres. You're gonna have some spots with issues. It's safe to say that these soybeans probably have the maximum amount of growing season available. One thing I'll say about planting them in March that I was surprised by, I've mentioned it numerous times, I just mentioned it again, they were so slow to come out of the ground. And the ironic part about this gamble was more of the logistics. It was the idea that if I get these planted in March, when it dries up in April, there's 300 acres I don't have to worry about planting. However, it never dried up in April, so I didn't have to worry about planting too many other fields to even have to worry about getting in a bottleneck. A lot of times it was, hey, we've got this field planted, now we're just gonna twiddle our thumbs because nothing else is dry, which has been the story of this spring so far. Planting these in March, probably not gonna be that much of a benefit given the year because they took a long time to come out of the ground, as did pretty much any other March bean I heard planted. There were a few that beat these out of the ground. I don't really know why. And these fields I planted were traditionally, or on average, fields for us that drain really well. They don't hold a lot of water, meaning in April, when I was waiting to do other things, waiting on fields to dry, I could have planted these fields another 3 or 4 times in April. So I don't know that this year it's gained as much of anything, because I know guys who planted when we were planting this cornfield to the south I just showed you, and their beans came out of the ground probably a week after these. So it's probably a wash at that point. There's gonna be years where you really wish you'd done this. I don't know that we had any other fields dry enough in March to gamble on planting a bunch. Maybe we'll rethink about that next year. There's the other field across the road I planted in March. A lot of water's moved across that because it's on the lower side of grade. Water just comes this way. I've shown you that already. But overall, again, good looking field of soybeans. Hard to complain about that. I've done my lap around the territory this morning and the results were a little disappointing. Here's Bruce and Wes, John, our Pioneer dealer. Looks like they are working some ground here. They said they may try that tomorrow, but I've not found anything of ours that is ready to plant. All of our dry farms, the farms that air out quicker to plant, have already been planted. It's a little optimistic to think maybe we can crack some stuff open tomorrow. Humid outside, overcast, it's warm. I don't know, it's just not drying the way you'd like it to, which is unfortunate for May. Just gotta be patient. Yesterday was not completely in vain. Mid-afternoon the sun came out, it actually dried the ground out nicely. Looks like today we're getting an early start to the sunshine, which is great. And I installed a future cleanup project here, a trampoline for the kids. I sacrificed some ratchet straps to the cause. I've got some anchors in the ground that had eyelets on. I don't know if it'll work. We're gonna put like a privacy screen around it to kind of hide the mess under here, and hopefully it doesn't blow away. Although that seems to be the best part of a trampoline, is that you guarantee yourself a project at some point in the future when it ends up in the neighbor's yard. Dogs are already at it this morning. Little light dew on the ground, which isn't the worst thing in the world. That's just a little bit of added moisture that the sun will have to fight through. I don't think it'll take very long. I'll give you a quick rundown of the weather forecast. This is the iPhone weather app, and it's really confusing because you look at it and it makes it seem like there's not much rain in the forecast, minimal moisture, but then you actually go into the day-to-day precipitation of it, and here, 50% chance of rain, oh, ½ inch. 50% chance of rain, oh, 4/10. Oh, there's not even rain on this day. 9/10. Not really rain on this day either. 65/100. I don't even know how you read the iPhone forecast, but you look at that, that's 2 inches of rain. I don't know if they're not showing up because they're minimal chances or overnight. I really have no idea, but that's a very confusing way to look at it, although it looks cool. Everything's always about the woodpecker. He's just up here pecking wood all day. Neat looking bird. Then you go over to an app like Weather Underground. It's a lot lighter on the rain. It shows there's actually a chance overnight for rain. And then through Sunday night into Monday, a total of 4/10. Tuesday, another 4/10. Wednesday, ½ inch. That's such a lighter forecast than what the iPhone weather app's calling for. I don't even know how you base your decisions. Hey, keep it down over there. You're about as bad as the woodpecker. What are you looking at? Oh, I see. This is the really disheartening forecast. This is Eric Snodgrass's system through Nutrien, and you can see all of the 3 modeling systems he uses is predicting 1.5 inches plus of rain on the 10-day. 1.5 inches not a lot of rain, but like I said earlier in the video, 1.5 inches the first week of May almost guarantees you at least 10 days out of the field, because that's kind of what the last rain did to us. So really just a difference of when the rain comes. One model shows it all coming pretty much in a couple of days, which is bad for our stuff we have planted. The other ones kind of trickle it in. That's a little better because it would allow the soil to aerate some. It's just hard deciding what you're going to do, because you really don't want to plant a lot in the heat if there's going to be a lot of rain to pack it back down, seal it over, and make it rot. I don't know. We're probably going to push the envelope a little bit today, get some more in the ground if we find ground close enough to work. Even this very wet spot of the field behind my house has dried out a ton. Yesterday it was getting close to grade off. I would say that dew and moisture coming up a little bit dampened it. Sunshine will take care of that pretty quick. Went on a little scouting trip first thing over here east of Lerna. We've got about 230 acres or so of corn stalks. This is roughly 11 or 12 miles straight east of our main farm. Pretty productive ground, just kind of swampy. Ironically, this farm, or this area in general, was our driest acres last year. I think it only received like 12 inches of rain during the growing season, which was 15% less than everything else. The corn still did okay. It definitely was a little bit hurt from a drought standpoint. And the tables have turned, because now this area has been getting the most rain this spring. Up until this last rain, it was a little bit lower. I had a dream that maybe today we could come over here and plant some beans, but I'm just not sure the ground's dry enough. This is a good example of a low spot in the field. It is visibly wet on top, and not just from a dew overnight. I mean, it's still mud. You've got 2 problems that occur here. These low spots hold the most water, and they also have your muckiest soil. So you look, you flip that over. I don't even need to grab that. Look at it, there's moisture in it. If I picked it up in a ball and threw it at someone, it'd probably knock them out. For comparison, I walked up to a higher area in the field, probably a little bit lighter soil-wise, definitely drier looking on top. You pull that up, it looks reasonable, but even that is still maybe a bit wet. Actually, that part's not really bad. That's not terrible. I am on a high spot, like I said, so most of the field would not crumble up like this. This ground is really soft and mellow. Not sure why, but can't complain about it. That doesn't look horrible. Dark soil like this is not forgiving to wet tillage. One option we do have to minimize smearing with the field cultivator is to come in here and actually no-till into this seed bed that was vertical tilled. It's level enough that I actually think it'd plant nicely. It's just a matter of, is it dry enough to even attempt that in the low spots, which I'm not sure it is, because that's pretty wet out there. Of course, there's always the option of give it one more day of drying, hope it doesn't rain overnight, plant it tomorrow ahead of the bigger rains on Monday. It would probably make some sort of a difference, but I'm sure it would still not be completely ready. The question we've got to ask ourselves is it still too early, first week of May, to plant in less than ideal conditions? This is close to plantable, especially for this farm. It's just super wet. I'm just not sure that I want to compromise seed bed quality, plantability, just to get something done first week of May. I dug really deep there. Look how much moisture there is. 6 inches in the ground. That's crazy. And you know that your tractor and your planter are putting weight down that far. You can hear it squishing. Still over here in Lerna. I was out looking at this spot. It's been perpetually wet. I've come to the conclusion, most likely, that we're seeing a tile issue. Usually when a spot is this wet compared to its peer area, there's water bubbling up underneath. You know that there's a water issue when you have a dead frog in the wet spot. That's a pretty good sign. And there is a ton of tadpoles. Usually you don't get those out in your field, so I'd say the water is coming up here. I came through here the fall before last with the inline ripper and cracked this open, so compaction should not be an issue. I ran it pretty deep, and the water issue was there before, so I bet we got a tile bubbling up out here. And you know, these aren't our farms, they're relatively new to us, so we're gonna have to figure that out. I don't know that we'll get to it this spring. What I really need to do is get the weeds killed off, get it planted, and then bring the drone up after rain, because that's when you can really see where the tile lines are, and maybe I can visualize where the tile's coming from and then what's out in here in the field that we can hook into. Looks like while I was out scouting this morning, Dad hooked up the 9620 to the field cultivator. I've got a few fields around home here. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and try, see if they work up nicely, and we'll know pretty quickly whether or not we'll be farming. I'm sure there'll be some wet spots out here. Like that spot right there. May have to go around it. I want to see how the rest of the field works up. It may be a bit on the heavy side, I think. I'm just, I don't know, trying to figure something out. Maybe I should just be patient. We don't really have a choice but to work it again because we worked it so long ago. Weeds are starting to come back up. There was no residual herbicide. Tillage will have to be done. There is dust, that's a good sign. If you told me that we were gonna have 3 good days of drying in a row, I would definitely wait on this. It's really close though. This light dirt, pretty forgiving to tillage, not leaving a lot of tracks behind me, only running 1.5 inches deep in the ground. Liking what I'm seeing for the most part. We'll have Jeff come look, see what he thinks. I don't know if it's going to show up. You can definitely tell there's a tile line that runs right there. They're very visible out in the field. There's also one running right across here. Tile makes a big difference, and these are old clays. Imagine what a new system with tightly spaced, perforated plastic laterals would look like. A lot of guys that have been able to make a lot of progress so far this spring have a lot of drain tile installed, and those are really paying dividends because their fields are drying quicker underneath and they can actually get out there and farm it. Definitely something we need to explore a little bit more in our farm. Just had a meeting of the minds. Dad, Jeff, and I conversated on this out here. Light dirt, pretty forgiving to tillage. There are some lower lying black areas. Crack her open, let her out. In a perfect world, we wouldn't be out here, but this world isn't perfect right now. It's hard to believe now, ground like this will look incredible after about 2 hours of sunshine when the planter hits it. Dad and I just did a little scouting report. I mean, we found some more fields that are close. We're gonna go ahead and try them. Gotta crack some of these open to get them dry. Is it ideal? No. It's just a necessary evil. It's wet enough right now that everything we're working essentially will need time after it's worked to dry off. So we're gonna try to get as much ground covered as possible. It's supposed to get partly cloudy here in another 4 or 5 hours. The more we get work, the faster it dries. I don't think we're doing any damage, but I guess we'll find out come fall. Let's go do some exploring. We're not the only ones out and about. Here comes a spreader. I bet that's a little lighter on the ground than our tractors and planters and field cultivators. Jeff is making a very minor dust off in the distance to the south. That's a decent indicator that it's somewhat dry. There's times out there where he's not making a dust at all, if that tells you anything. There's another field. We're passing on for right now. If we get everything worked here in the next couple hours, I think we may try to crack it open too and plant it. Time will tell. Yeah, I was not exactly expecting it to look that good. That looks pretty plantable. I bet that'll be great off and beautiful in an hour. Did you get north of the woods wrapped up yet, Jeff?
No, we're on the far side. It's wet. Across from I'm over at this last big terrace. I'm working around it.
Yeah, that's not exactly surprising. Beals looks really good. How's it gonna plant?
Done it. That's wet on me, so, but you can plant around them.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today, I think. Here comes Katie. She's gonna take over her tillage tractor, and then I'm gonna go start doing some scouting / planting preparation. Ever so slightly you can see where the tractor ran. I don't think that's because the ground is too wet. It's really because we've already tilled this up once a couple weeks ago, really destroyed that soil structure. And then when you come back over with the tractor, it's much more prone to packing down. So that's one of the bad sides of working it twice. The benefit though is that the ground's probably drier than something that's not been worked before. Oh, we got two tractors coming. One is our neighbor Jason, and the next one looks like Jeff with the 9620. Busy bees. Sometimes it's easier just to get out of their way. Not really in a hurry. That ground needs to dry out that Jeff just worked. No mud on the tires though. It's pretty easy to tell what Dad's thinking right now. Both planters are out of the shed, so I think we're going to be putting some seeds in the ground, for better or worse. There's no doubt that we are taking our sweet time on this one this afternoon. Ground really needs to dry, so I'm going to help Dad put some corn in his planter, fueling up my tractor, and then I'm going to go get some beans after this is all done. We are headed up to Bruce and Wes's to get some Pioneer 3718 soybeans to plant on that field. Jeff worked a couple hours ago. We just loaded Dad's planter with the absolute rock star grand slam hitting Pioneer 14830Q. Really excited to get that in the ground because that thing just absolutely smoked the competition last year. We're getting after it. It's humid, it's drying. Really wish we had a couple more days of dry weather before we did some of what we're doing right now. Speaking of the devil, there's our Pioneer dealer Bruce right there, loading up the corn planter. He worked this up this morning. We saw him the other day, didn't we, in this video? Looks like he's got a lot planted. Looks about the same as what we worked and planted. If anything, that may actually be a little wetter than what we worked. Usually he's on the better side of the corn. Maybe we've got a little better dirt right now.
Yeah, put a little soybean oil in here.
Getting low?
Yeah, I think we're at.
We are loading up Pioneer 3718, 37 in this soybean. Kind of later in the maturity lineup that we're planting this year. I think it's currently 39. That's not from Pioneer, that's from Neptune. I'm really happy because the sunshine is stuck around way longer than they were forecasting. It was supposed to get cloudy. With temperatures like today, even a couple extra hours of sunshine makes a huge difference for drying. With the ground being a tad bit on the wet side and reading the forecast as well as continued heat for the next 7 days, I'm backing beans out of the ground for the first time this season. Early on we planted those March beans. I had them deep because I didn't want them to come up that fast. Now we've got the heat of May moving in, and I actually want the beans to be able to crack through the crust on top of the ground if we get a hard rain, because wet soil and heat is actually not a good thing. It's not wet enough now. If we get a big rain, that could be an issue. So we'll set it here, plant our first round when we get to the field, see how that looks. Dragging this DB60 through the mud is going to be a new experience for me. Haven't had to do that before in the year we've had it. The old smaller, lighter 1790 we traded off for it. She saw the mud a few times, only got stuck once. I told you, a couple hours of drying, you won't even recognize this farm. I did warn Chris when we were filling the planter that he's on call in case I get stuck. He's got to bring the tractor and the chain. Okay, let's try that again. I did not have the units as primed as I thought I did, so we only got about half the target population. Round two. We are off with a nice rooster tail by the marker. Looks pretty good out here now. Jeff, it is absolutely beautiful out here on North of the Woods right now. Told you.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. I don't think the field cultivator's saving that spot. It's still wet. Wheels didn't sink in though, so not horrible. Those beans will just need a little rain on them. They'll come up. This is one of 3 spots that we're definitely just going to go around for now. Rather not bury the tractor, even if we we plant it, it's not going to come up. So skip it, come back in here with our little small planter in July when it finally dries up, and then go from there. It's a firm wet, kind of. I don't know if there's such thing, firm wet. It's just wet. When I was a rookie planter operator, I always had the tendency to just kind of send it through spots like that. I thought getting it done was worth making a mess. And I've learned over the years that usually the beans you plant like that don't come up anyways. So you're really kind of just gambling on a winning list proposition. You're either going to get stuck, plug up your Truvvies and gauge wheels for literally no possible upside. Even if they do come up, they're probably not going to have full yield potential because they're going to be absolutely smeared in the soil. Just kind of drag that through there. Got a little close. Once the wheels stop spinning, you know you got too close to the action there. I actually think I may be able to fish it through here. Abstract planting, that's what's going on. So we got the Yetter zipper twister closing spike wheels, right? Yeah, that's gonna need a rain, folks. And no rain at the same time, in some ironic fashion. Look at the mud fly off of those wing wheels. Both field cultivators have worked about 170 acres so far. Actually, counting this one, that puts us at like 230. Katie's running up there on the hill behind my dad's house. Jeff is like a half mile to the southeast of here, but no chance you see him through the dust and the trees. Dad is over where I was running the field cultivator earlier. He got 60 acres planted in probably 45 minutes. Impressive work. Big square field though, so it's easy. Hello.
What is the back piece? What's the line for it? Is that northwest?
Probably northwest, yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yep. The problem with being the person who did all the auto steer lines is I'm also on call all day. From Dad, only the field cultivators just do simple steering to help him understand what the auto steer lines are from memory, even though I really don't remember what I did 3 months ago. I can't even remember what I did a couple days ago. And we've been in this field for, I don't know, 30 minutes, and we've got 40 acres planted, 35 acres planted. Pretty good. I need to just get my iPad set up. It makes it easier to visualize. There's Dad over there planting. Jeff is there. I'm here, and Katie's up there. So field cultivators are good for 100 acres an hour together. I'm good for, I don't know, 60 acres an hour average, probably a little less, 55 by the time you count for loading and piddling around like I do. Dad's good for probably closer to 65 to 70, depending on how fast he wants to drive. I drive pretty fast. I just can't drive as fast as him because there's a point at which I don't know what's going on behind me. His planter can actually singulate and measure his performance. Mine, I'm putting out so many beans, I'm driving so fast. Eventually, I just don't want to risk going too fast after a certain point. Oh, that spot was a lot wetter than it looked. I should have gone around that. I actually killed the tractor right there because my row units were dragging up. So once I get this field finished, I'm probably going to need to go in there and clean out my Truvvies a little bit because I'm sure they're chock full of mud. At least need to make sure they're spinning. Oh, finished up this field. Other than a couple wet spots, I either planted through or around. It went in all right. Did run out of seed. It's about the best you can ask for with these conditions. Unfortunately, Katie just radioed me, and the rolling basket mounting bar on her field cultivator, which is just a year old, so this is its second season, broke clean off. The problem is that we need at least one field cultivator per tractor. They've got Dad a couple hours of work lined up. Jeff's still running without issue. I'm surprised Katie's field cultivator broke, to be honest. Maybe I did something bad to it earlier. Either way, I'm gonna have to fold up and go check it out because you can't really fold the field cultivator up in the field because you kind of don't want to hang that basket off. The silver lining is that she's just right up the road there. She's my dad's house, so it'll take me a couple minutes to get in there, get a pickup, and then go see what happened. Okay, time to check out the damage. There's the troublemaker right there. Yeah, that's not supposed to look like that. Let's get it off.
She was just torn. Can we set it on the ground?
Not yet. I thought it just broke, but it sounds a lot more likely if you hit a tree with it.
That's probably what started it.
It
A couple hours ago.
It broke on its own, but pop out. Alright, watch your tears. That other one may hold this one because it may come out. Or it may drop. I don't really know. That's what I've been doing. I gave you the heavy end. Now how do we manage this deal? I got one hand on it, Katie. You went through the whole bike. Here, put your in there first. Yeah, try working with it. We'll see how it does. It's not going to have a rolling basket out there for you. Originally, I thought it just broke upon talking to her. Sounds like maybe there was an interaction with the tree. It happens. I can't be a hypocrite because about 13 or 14 years ago when I was running a field cultivator, I absolutely just smoked a big tree with the outside of it and folded up like the outside 3 foot into the tree. So, you know what happens? Sometimes you just misjudge the distance. I always wondered what would happen if you backed into a tree with a field cultivator. I'm glad I'm not the person who figured out what happens. Field looks okay. There's definitely some wet spots. Less ultra wet spots like the field I just planted, which is expected. That farm just has some drainage issues. This one just needed more time to dry. Katie really downplayed the significance of the tree. I mean, if you back into a 30-inch tree, maybe, that's probably bigger than a 30-inch tree. Maybe that's a 4-foot tree. Yeah, you take the bark off, it's going to take a lot to damage the tree, and I'd say that was enough to damage the basket. Happens, I guess. Be a good rainy day project. Seems to be finishing fine without it. That was already down. Katie didn't do that, although that would be hilarious. Oh, the Uphuff boys have joined the dark side. They're planting beans just like us. At least we won't be alone in replanting here in a few weeks. Got to get them in early so you can get them in a second time in a timely manner, right? That's more of a joke for the record. I'm not trying to plant anything twice. Is it gonna happen? Normally does. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. Heading to a line tractor. Tried calling, they didn't answer, but I'm gonna go see if they're open because we're gonna need to get these parts ordered to get it fixed in a timely manner. I doubt it's tomorrow, but maybe next week. I should have taken the hint from the non-answered phone call. Saturday, 4:30. Couldn't expect them to be open, just wanted to check. With this delayed planting season though, you think they'd have someone manning the parts counter on a Saturday on crucial time. In the dust, you can hardly even tell it's missing part of the rolling basket. I'm all over the place right now. Dad's got all that 114-day Pioneer in the ground. He's got another field. He's gonna plant Pioneer 1136, just your standard AM Double Pro. I'm gonna load this up onto Chris, and then I'm gonna go pick up a load of chemical from Helen. At the fuel tank. I just want to say what a beautiful afternoon God has gifted us here. The sun has stayed out way more than I was anticipating. It's warm, ground is drying tremendously. Whether or not planting today is a good idea, we'll know in a couple of weeks. For now, we're going to take advantage of the opportunity, bust this stuff open. Not saying we're going to run all night because the moisture will come back up and it's already a little wet to begin with. However, we're going to get a window here for the next 24 hours or so. Unless it storms tonight, there's like a 30% chance where we're gonna just jam as much into the ground as possible. All right, I got a nice little load of chemical on the back. probably gonna focus back on planting, and then if I get that done, I may spray everything I planted so far today just to kind of cover my base in case it rains. Like to kind of stay caught up unless I absolutely need to prioritize planting. We don't really have enough dry dirt though for me to pick one over the other. I'm gonna plant and then I'm gonna spray. It's a busy little beehive today. I am going to get some more beans. Katie's gonna go work another field for me to plant here tonight. Looks a little blue to the west, so we're gonna put the hammer down. The field cultivator looks a little goofy without that basket on it. Loaded up, booted up, gotta switch this variety to the Don Mario 37s. Had good luck with these Don Marios. I guess it'd be alphabetical. There they are, nice pasty color for some reason. And field, it's probably not gonna pull up the field I'm gonna plant first. Call it Downing North. There we go. That's right. Katie's working back there, just coming down the road. I don't know if he's just quitting for the night or he's gonna keep working. Got 70 acres worked. If I can get this done and get spraying, that'd be a nice little start for the evening. Don't know if we have anything else ready to go. This tree's probably cowering in fear and another Dole barreling at it in John Deere equipment. I, for one, respect the trees, unlike my sister. Yes, I see your ways, tree. Not so fast this time, huh, buddy? That could have been expensive. Trees, no. Inlets, occasionally. Took the top clean off of that one. I zigged when I should have zagged. Of course, got a bunch of junk in there now. You can't even hardly tell it was run over. Perfect. Oh, I thought I was clear and just smoked her. Another forecast about to let us down. What was a 30% chance of rain at 9 o'clock is now looking like about a 100% chance of rain at 7:30. If I could just have an extra 30 minutes, I could get a lot done, but I'm not sure I'm gonna get that. Let's just put it this way right now, folks. I got all of the ponies out of the stable here pulling this planter up the hill. I don't think I could really go any faster. It's not looking promising right there. What a disappointer. I was hoping we'd miss the rain tonight because it was a very low probability, and then we might actually be able to run a good chunk tomorrow ahead of the big rain on Monday, and now it looks like that was all just a dream. I'm not talking about the storm. Oh my gosh. That could have been extremely expensive, but get the field cultivator. Holy smokes. They don't have a speedometer here. Oh, I'm not going to get anything done. I see the wind coming across now. Going to be a big old gust here in a second. Can't hardly even feel the wind in the old 8R. Maybe I am the wind. Okay. I just felt that one. I might need to fold up and go in. This is getting to be a losing proposition, I think. Looks like this one's over. Got about half of this second field planted. We're gonna have a little planting date trial out here. Who knows when the next date will be. Get out of here before I make a mess. It was already too wet. The old 30% chance of rain strikes again this spring. Say whatever you'd like. You can't say that we didn't at least try. Hate getting rained out in the middle of the field. I shouldn't even have started that one. Oops. I just hit the brights thinking that was my gear shift. Not this one. The one bright side is those beans I put in way too wet did need a rain. I just was hoping it was going to be in a couple days. It's hard to get frustrated with things you can't control. unbelievable, but there's no reason to get upset about things you can't control. Just farming. Still early. Just really disappointed with this rain. I mean, I thought if it did rain, we get a 10th, not a ½ inch in 5 minutes. I don't know if we've got that much, but it's rained enough that we probably can't farm tomorrow, and probably can't farm next week because it's gonna rain a bunch on Monday. Unless for some reason this rain takes away the other rain energy. I don't know, guys. It is what it is. Some years are great, some years are really frustrating. Another positive is I've found the dogs a new shiv to run around with and impale each other with, and possibly blow a tire on the mower. It's for you, take it. It's for you. Good boy. Take it. You just gonna lick it? Don't you want it? Clark, maybe you should be a meteorologist. The question sort of becomes, though, can I finish these fields I planted tomorrow? Should I not have even have started them? Should I have gone and sprayed my residual on the first field I planted? Because the soil's warm, we need chemistries down there. The rain would have slightly activated them because the water hemp is going to emerge. It's going to keep emerging, which is what's challenging about planting and spraying and orchestrating all that. If we don't get a residual down, when we come back, may have to put something hot in the tank like Enlist or Liberty glufosinate to actually burn water hemp down that's emerging, because it will be out there. Soil's warm, we reworked it, we brought more small seeds to the top. Definitely a possibility. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. I've had enough for today in this video. I'm gonna take off, everyone. As always, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!